Good afternoon. As we speak, the Mars Global Surveyor spacecraft, the MGS, is in orbit around Mars, and it took all of the images that we will be showing this afternoon. The links to those images are available on websites, official websites of NASA, the Jet Propulsion Laboratory, and Malin Space Science Systems, the contractor that does the imaging on the spacecraft. Any of you can go to the original sites and confirm any of these images. No special processing was done to the images. We simply are showing the extract of interest here in each case, unless I remark otherwise. And in all cases, I'll be showing the original image. So for the first of these, I should stress that all of the images we're going to look at are in the general category of if we saw them on Earth, we would conclude that they were the activity of either humans or large-scale biology on Earth. Now, there are arguments why these are not normal products of nature, and certainly nothing like them exists on any of the other moons or planets of the solar system that we have imaged to date. The object on the left has a T shape, which is obviously pretty rare. That and perfect triangles are rarely seen in nature and are not the result of normal processes. The craters on the right, I'm calling them craters in a general sense because that's the appearance they have, but actually craters on the moon and planet surfaces are not formed by excavation when something hits it. They are formed by an energetic explosion when something hits it at extremely high speeds, as anything striking these bodies must be. The gravity fields guarantee a minimum speed high enough to vaporize completely the impacting object. So the crater is formed by explosion, and therefore to find a flat-bottom, high-walled crater, that can't happen from an explosion. Likewise, to have a crater, the shape of the elongated object there cannot happen from impact either. You can get a slightly elliptical crater, but not something with that extreme shape. The next picture is in a different category of glassy tubes. The glassy tubes are seen in dozens of places. Since we've sampled only 1/1000th of the surface of Mars so far at high resolution, they must be all over the place. They are networked. We've established that it is not an optical illusion. They are really tube-shaped. They are not easily explained as dunes or lava tubes. They seem to be translucent. In fact, in this case, that bright spot seems to be a specular reflection of the sun, implying that the surface must be glassy or metallic. Natural surfaces don't ordinarily give you specular reflections. This is an object, one of several in this area, which if we saw it on Earth, we would say, well, that's a tree seen from above. But Mars is supposed to be a lifeless planet, yet we see the radial structure around a central trunk. We can see several levels of branching. We can see shadows cast on the ground. These are clearly not on the ground geologically. They are above it, casting shadows downward. This is one of the images that led Arthur Clarke to say he's 95% certain that Mars has large life on it. This is what he means by that. And this is one of many examples of what we would ordinarily interpret as vegetation on the planet. Here's the category of infrastructure, and I showed this one out of several because triangle shapes require a special explanation, and here there's so many of them so similar. And even if those are shadows, you still have an unusual number of monoliths, large monoliths, all of the same size and shape. In this high-resolution photo taken in 1998, the face was again imaged as we see up in this corner. When that image was released to the media on April 5th, 1998, this is the image that the Jet Propulsion Laboratory, JPL, released. This, anyone would agree, is a very natural-looking object. It does look like a pile of rocks and make the face look like an accident. The trouble is that it doesn't look anything like the previous image, and there's an even bigger problem for the scientists. It doesn't look like the data that came down from the spacecraft either, and that's a more serious problem, the data that this image was based on. Well, on the JPL website that is cited in the press kit, you can go there and you can see this image and the actual image that it was based on, side by side, and the recipe for how JPL got from one to the other. They put the actual image through a high-pass filter, then through a low-pass filter, then they averaged the two to get this image. They claimed the justification was to remove striping from the original image that was an artifact of the CCD chip. That's not a scientifically legitimate way to remove striping because it removes all the detail in an image. For example, from Adobe Photoshop, we see this description of what a high-pass filter does to an image. Emphasizes edge details. The important thing is suppresses the rest of the image. The filter removes low-frequency detail in an image. It's used for extracting line art and large black and white areas from scanned images. When we go back to the actual image was taken at a rather oblique angle under extremely unfavorable lighting conditions. But because we have the older images from a different angle, we can triangulate, and computer processing programs are very good now at reproducing lighting from any angle. So we can use those computer techniques with the actual data. This is done by a computer, not by an artist. There is no introduction of new data in this image by any artist. It is just rearranging the features you see by computer instructions to restore a high angle of lighting, put the shadows in the right place, and to restore an overhead view from this oblique view to one side. And here's what happens when we do that. There's the lighting restored, and now we rotate to a view from above. And this is what the object actually looks like, as best we can tell at this point. So both the other scientific arguments and the new view of the face certainly have our attention with regard to perspective artificiality of this object, but there is more. In this image, to the amazement of everyone, including the scientists involved who made these predictions, we can see two nostrils at the end of the nose, we can see an iris inside the eye socket, we can see an eyebrow feature over the eye socket, we can see that the mouth does consist of parted lips. All of those predictions that were made in advance to distinguish artificial from natural were fulfilled in favor of an artificial or built object in this image.